everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Design Cinema. This is Feng Zhu speaking, and we are at episode 90, something you guys probably didn't think will happen until 2019 or 2020, but here we are. I'm trying to keep this going as long as I can and keep it consistent to at least try to do 2 or 3 episodes a month. So yes, we are episode 90, 10 beginner drawing tips. So you could probably see my background is a little bit different. I'm in my film production studio, so I'm also on a PC right now with a complete different setup. Hopefully the audio levels and everything will match the one in my school setup, which is on a Mac. So obviously it's gonna be a little bit different, but I'll try to make it as easy as I can for you guys so the audio don't jump back and forth between 89, 90, and 91, because I jump back and forth between 2 different studios. So, but I have Design Cinema in terms of recording software on both sides. So yeah, and I noticed some of you guys started a hashtag with Just Draw, which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna continue this series for another 2-3 more episodes, which is going back to the basics of drawing. And today is no different. We are talking about beginner drawing tips. Maybe some of you guys have experienced this. Maybe you spend a lot of time trying to do digital painting and try to learn painting, and now you're trying to get back into just the basics of drawing and finding how hard it actually is to just draw something even really simple, right? However, there is a way to get into it, and that's what today's episode is about. So let's jump right into it, and we'll go over each one, okay? What I'm gonna do actually is to spend this hour, first maybe 20 minutes or so going over these verbally, and then I'll use another 40 minutes or so to actually demonstrate every one of these tips in real time, so you can see how to put that into your own work, okay? And yeah, so let's jump in. All right, 10 tips. Let me open up a new layer so I could use a little bit of coloring. Yeah, my setup is pretty low tech here. I don't have fancy editing and all these kind of things because I think at the end of the day, whatever makes it easier for me to record, the better it is. Otherwise, we're gonna spend another 3 days in editing and so forth. So anyways, my low budget way of doing things. 10 beginning tips. Okay, and these are listed in the order of my personal preference of how to get into it. So it's not a random list that I put here in terms of the order that you do these in, okay? And again, I'll do a demo to demonstrate that, all right? And also, this is also beginner drawing tips for helping us eventually get into design. So it's a little bit different than if you were to turn this into a drawing career. So this I've mentioned many times, our career is a design career. Drawing is a tool that we use in the process, but it is not the end result. Now, if your end result is to become for example, a very good illustrator and you're selling your drawings, then these tips, some of it is not as important in my opinion because they're 2 different fields. My tips are more for how do you actually use this stuff in the process of design, okay? All right, so that's out of the way, let's jump in. Number 1, use cheap paper. So this I mentioned before, some of these I mentioned before as well, but maybe some of our audience is new to this series, so this might help you guys. Let me make the screen bigger. Okay, so number 1, use cheap paper. Why? Because if you're drawing on cheap paper and something just throw away, you're not going to be nervous. And the number 1 thing to fight is that nerves, right? You got to calm yourself down, get yourself some water, and I have some coffee over here, which I should drink some, and just calm your nerves. Having cheap paper is so useful. And if you're doing this digitally, I'll show you guys how to do that as well to create a sense of throwaway. Okay, kind of like I think most of you guys, you do like my test painting or my test drawing. Those are always better than the real ones, right? It's because you don't have the nerves kicking in. When you relax, everything tends to flow much better. When you're nervous, things are stiff and so forth. So cheap paper is the first thing to do. Okay, again, the moleskins and all that stuff is fine and great, but personally, I don't use anything like that. And now later, I'll show you guys some photos of my personal sketchbook and things, so you can see how crappy they are. All right, number 2, start with the easy stuff. Again, mentioned last episode, and today we'll do the same thing. Maybe we'll draw something that's completely inside view. Don't give you the pressure of, okay, my first drawing is like a human face of a very handsome young gentleman or some very pretty girl or something. You're talking about the most difficult thing to draw, especially if it's from life. It's really hard, right? And when you mess up, it happens, your confidence could go down. You're like, oh man, I can't do this. I suck at this kind of stuff, you know? Okay, start with something simple, right? The rock stuff, the tree, and today we're no different. We'll pick a medium thing. Since we started with some skulls and turtles and those things from last week, we'll continue that, okay? So start with the easy stuff. Get yourself cheap paper and draw things that are easy. Next, draw loose but in control. What this means is that I saw some of the hashtag that's trending on Twitter, for example. If you look up just draw or drawing, take a look at these. There's a lot of drawings that are not done by professionals. You could tell these are students and amateurs, but the drawings are very, very tight. That means the minute they put the pen on paper, they are already trying to be in full control of this drawing. There's benefits to that, but in my opinion, when you're learning to draw, loosen up. Okay, but the reason why I put in control is that, okay, we're not doing this like right, like gestural drawings in which is kind of randomly putting stuff on paper. No, that's not in control. But loose is being a little bit on purpose, messing things up a bit, testing the lines, testing the flow. And again, I'll demonstrate to you guys how to do that, because by drawing loosely, you lose the nerves. Okay, if you're starting out and you're just doing like, okay, I'm gonna draw this perfect drawing, right? You're already putting yourself in a disadvantage because your drawing is dead to begin with. If you start with some little nice fluid lines, okay, even if your drawing is not perfect and the proportions are off, in my opinion, you're gonna start learning how to control your lines much better than if you're starting out with, if I'm drawing, look at this mech that I have here. There's a lot of loose lines going on in here. Okay, lots of loose lines. But if you zoom out, it could get tighter and tighter and tighter. And that's one of the benefits I'll talk about next. Okay, all right. Number 4, use pen to avoid, let me make this full screen. Use pen to avoid erasing. Okay, or avoid erasing. So what's the point of this? This is to build confidence. If you have a pencil, it's great, but pencil gives you the ability to erase. Okay, by using a pen, it might be really hard at first, but the point of this is to build confidence that you can make mistakes, and how do you recover from that mistake? When you erase, you're completely getting rid of that mistake. So it is a way to learn, but it's in my opinion, a slower way to get to confidence. So when I was in Art Center as well as the school in Singapore, we tend to draw a pen quite a bit because every mistake you make, you're learning from it. So like even this mech drawing that I have here as a demo, there's all sorts of mistake lines in there, all sorts of lines, but there's a way to control it, especially in a sketch method. Okay, I'm not talking about a really tight line drawing here. I'm talking about a sketch. A sketch will contain a lot of little mess up lines. So if you want everything to be perfect and you erase out every line that you don't think flows, you're actually controlling yourself a little bit too tight in the beginning. What we want to do is, okay, this line's off. It's okay. I'll put a better line on top of it. I'll use line weight and line control and flow to control the line I want you to see. And the line that's a mistake, I want the viewer to not look at it. And this is all part of the process. And I'll show you guys that when I do a live demo. Okay, so let's go through these lists pretty quick so that way you can see it being done live. Number 5, use thumbnails. So this is a really cool little trick, and I'll show you guys. When you draw small, you could control proportions much better. You could also control design much better because you're not worrying about details. Details slow you down big time. Okay, just go to YouTube and look at some students, for example, doing drawings. You'll notice that a lot of them start with like an eyeball or something. Like they always start with the eye, and immediately go into like spending 40 minutes rendering like this perfect, let me switch my pen here, a perfect eye with all the little details and the eyelash and all this stuff. And it's one eye too. It's not even like the whole eye. So like one eye, the eyelash, and doing all the wrinkles, a little under, right, the eyebrow and so forth, right? And then try to get to the other eye. And all this was take up like 40 minutes when there's not even a basic structure of a face being drawn. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys might fall into this boat. And it doesn't matter if it's a human or a mech. For example, if they're drawing this thing, they'll start with, for example, like something really detailed in the front and just kind of work their way through. So again, if that's the way you draw, that's totally fine. These are tips, in my opinion, helped me get better at drawing, which I didn't realize, nobody really taught me this. This is kind of half taught in school and half just kind of messing around to find what the best method was. So I'll share with you guys and also show you photos of me doing this on real projects using really small drawings to nail the proportions. Okay, so use thumbnails. Again, this is something that I see a lot of younger designers forgetting to do. They just straight jump into a white canvas like this and just start designing like their first drawing has to be their final drawing. Thumbnails was something that we used so much back in the days. For a single design, I might draw a thumbnail 20 times to find the design, and then I'll pick the best one, which goes straight to number 6. Once you have a design, we could just blow it up. Okay, nowadays with Photoshop, that's so easy. Just just scale it up. Back in the days, I just take it to the photocopy machine and just make it 100,000 times bigger or something. I just draw a thumbnail about this small, about 2 inches across for a environment, and I'll blow that up to 11 by 17. So the lines would just become super coarse, and it's not pretty, but the major shapes are there. And you'll see when I do the demo how that works. Okay, so number 6 is add details later. Don't get bogged down with little eyelashes and eyeball reflections. These things could all come later, right? Even hands, you could just represent with a simple form, like simple form, just to capture the overall feeling of it, and then go back and clean these things up. Okay, get it all done in thumbnail first. Okay, number 7, practice line flow. So once we have all this, I'll show you guys how to practice a little bit of flowing. How do you get the lines to flow versus being stiff like this? Okay, flow across. And along the same time, I'll show you guys some tips about line weight. I know I mentioned line weight is a very personal thing. It's something that takes time, which is true. However, there are some fundamental things you could do to already add line weight into your work. Like why is certain lines here darker, for example, on this little mech. Okay, why are some lines lighter, especially see in the back? Okay, for example, this back leg. Okay, there are some rules there, and I'll explain those rules to you. Okay, and number 9, number 10 are kind of little not drawing per se, but they're helpful. Number 9 is fill your wall with your drawings. Okay, when you're learning, you really need to boost confidence. It's super easy to give up in this business, especially when you're not in it yet, and you're drawing, everything kind of sucks. You draw a bunch of drawings, it doesn't look good and stuff. But you have to show progression for yourself. Nowadays with digital, I find it to be really challenging for students to even look at their own work, because everything, you go into a student room, you see nothing on the walls, right? So we force our students to put stuff on the walls. I don't know if you guys seen our website with some of the photos, but we force it because on their own, sometimes it's all inside a MacBook or inside a USB stick, and you're not seeing the amount of work you're producing. When you put this stuff up, one, you get to have a kind of a view of where all your time went, right? You're like, wow, look at all this stuff that I made. Even though it's bad, you see where the hours went into. And next, you get to see progression. You get to see things like, oh, wow, look at that. 3 months ago, my drawings were not as good as today, right? Another thing is if you actually drew something nice and it's on the wall, sometimes you self-doubt, right? Even pros, even the best of the best would doubt their own skills, because sometimes not everyone's perfect. Not everyone could draw everything the best the first time. So sometimes you get into a zone where you're just drawing horrible things and bad designs. And you look up, you're like, oh, wow, that project from last month actually wasn't that bad. I actually did that. Maybe I do have some skills. So it helps with that. And I still do it today. Right now in front of me on the other side of this screen here is a wall of concept art. Unfortunately, I can't show you to you because it's all real world projects. But it's all in front of me. It's done by my team and some of myself. And you just kind of look at it, and just kind of cool. It's like, wow, this is the industry I'm in. So if you're learning, put it on the wall. And again, later I'll show you some photos of real studios that I worked at in which the drawings are on the walls, right? So I'm not all of this stuff. I have photograph evidence to show you that I put into practice. And number 10, which is to repeat 1 through 9 another 1,000 times. Okay, that's like a minimum. So again, this is not a business in which you do 2-3 drawings and suddenly you're a professional. You got to do this about 5,000 hours, maybe 10,000 hours, and then you have a chance to become a professional. Okay, I just listened to a podcast recently, somebody talking about the road to success, and I just repeat it real quick, paraphrase it here. It's like there's a mountain that we all have to climb. Everything I'm talking about here makes you go up a little bit. Now, it doesn't mean you don't fall down or actually you're going to succeed, right? It doesn't mean that, but at least you have a greater than 0 chance, okay, of succeeding. But if you're just standing here and not doing any of this, that chance will never come to you. You're going to be 0 equals 0. In fact, you might be going backwards, okay? Which is like your chance goes below 0 because people think that you're lazy, right? So you have to do something to get started. You cannot think that the industry somehow magically appears in front of you. You have no skills, you're not good at this, and somehow a big AAA company knocks on your door and go, hey, would you like to work on the next AAA for us? That's not going to happen. You're going to have to fight for that chance. You're going to have to get your skills up. You're going to have to work really, really hard. And then you might have a chance to be on these projects, right? That's not even a guarantee. So these are 10 tips that I'm going to now. Let me check the time here. Good. I think I spent about 5-6 minutes on this. Oh, I could check the time on the recording. Good, we're at 15 minutes. Oh, much longer than I thought. Okay, so now I'm going to pause this video just in case. This PC is also kind of unstable. I don't want this thing to crash. So we'll pause and come right back, and we'll continue with the live demo of these 10 things. All right, I'm back, and I just realized when I was checking the video that my little webcam is blocking some of the text. So sorry about that. I'll move everything slightly to the right here so you can see what number 9, number 10 actually said, which is fill your wall with drawings and repeat 1 and 9 for 1,000 times, like minimum. Okay, so now, and I also realized my PC has 2 screens, and I forgot about that, and I could throw my recording software onto the second screen to keep an eye, or more accurate eye on the time here. So it's actually showing me the recording time. On the Mac that I used for the last episode, I only have 1 screen, so I couldn't, it doesn't show you the recording software. So anyways, that's besides the point. Let's jump into the demonstration of putting all this stuff in water. Let me just get rid of this layer here. Why am I doing this the slow way? And why is my thing responding? Okay, here we go. All right, let's start with number 1. Use cheap paper. So obviously we're in digital, but there's ways to fight that. I'll just use the same canvas. Actually, I just use about an A3 size. So 1, I mentioned before, let's not draw on a big bright canvas. That just hurts the eyes. Just make this thing slightly gray, slightly toned, right? Or you could use a drawing background paper if you want. But again, if you use a texture, what it does is makes the file size really big because it's due to the way Photoshop compresses images. So for today, I just start with a slightly valued paper. This right now is valued about, I'm guessing 20%, 10%. Could make it slightly darker than that. Let's make it maybe like that. Okay, so 20% gray background. Okay, start from there. So let's drink some water. Now, how do you make this cheap? Well, one way is don't have a plan. Okay, let me start up with a pen first. Okay, what I mean by that is like don't have this as this is the canvas. Okay, draw anywhere you want. Go and draw in this corner, draw in this corner, start over here. Okay. So that way, this becomes a sketchbook. And you'll see as I start drawing my thumbnails, I just throw the reference image directly on here and just draw freely on this canvas. Remember, this is digital. We can make things get bigger on the left or expand the canvas on the right. Don't lock yourself into this canvas. Like I have to draw here and then place an object here and then place another one here and another one here, another one here, right? You could do this all later. So treat this as a throwaway or just draw some lines on here like this. This is another way to cheapen up. Okay, so you can keep this here. I'll just keep it here. Who cares? All right, let me save this real quick. So this is number 2. All right, start with the easy stuff. So on this reference image, I have collected some images for us to start, and I have big giant turtles. All right, so last week or last episode, remember I mentioned how cool this snapping turtle looked? I really want to continue this dude because he looks awesome or she looks awesome. I have no idea it's a he or she, but it's a cool shape, it's a cool animal. And today, let's use the process that we have outlined here to turn this into a design. Now, I have 2 turtles here. I have a snapping turtle, some with the spiky back here, with spiky shell. And I have some of these Galapagos turtles that we could also use. So we could do maybe 2 variations of a design. And so let's look at the next on the list, right? So something easy. For example, side view. Okay, I picked these on purpose. Another side view. Side view has no perspective. There are some perspective on these photos, but they're pretty easy to bypass because it's easy stuff. Later, if you get more confidence, we could start getting to some of these perspective heavy ones. For example, like look at this guy, it's like totally on a move there, but it's a more difficult drawing due to the perspective process in the shells, right? Because a turtle shell is still symmetrical, so you're gonna have to either draw it really well. We're gonna have to calculate it. So like these guys as well, they all have perspective on them, but it's organic enough. And these forms are foreign enough, meaning that most people have never seen a snapping turtle or a Galapagos turtle in life, nor do they study it in detail in a photograph. So you make mistakes on the shell height is too long, too short, legs too long, too short. Nobody's gonna know. You can mess with the eye placement of these guys and nobody's gonna know. Watch, right? I could take this right here, make a copy and paste of it. Look, I move it a little bit forward. Does it look wrong? Probably not. Okay, I'll move it back a little bit here. I'll make this even bigger so you guys can see. Okay, this is the default location. Look, I'm gonna lower it like that. Okay, it looks fine. Okay, I'm gonna make it higher, maybe here. Look, it's totally fine. You show that to someone and go, hey, is something wrong with that? I don't think anyone's going to tell you, no, I don't see a single thing wrong with it, right? If I hide that little edge right there a little bit better. Look, nothing wrong, but the eye actually has moved quite a bit, as you can see, okay? The reason why it doesn't look wrong is because we're not familiar with the subject matter. We do this to a human being, you will know the mistake even if a fraction of a small change, right? So you could try that with a photograph of a human, for example. Like, do I have a human here? Look, I don't have a human here. If I just move this detail, for example, like his mouth slightly off like this, okay, about the same degree. Let me try to hide a little bit better. And you'll see it's so weird looking, okay? Let me hide this thing. Why is that? It's because we are used to looking at humans all day. From the minute you're born, you're looking at humans. So the tiniest mistakes, it shows up. I mean, that's why I recommend you guys to draw things that are easier, okay? Unrecognizable, that actually looks pretty funny. Unrecognizable things like turtles, elephants, bugs. These are things that most people don't know the exact details of, okay? So let me throw these things away. And let's start with this turtle. Let's keep looking on the list. So let's start with this first, okay? I'm gonna draw loose, okay, but in control. And I'm gonna use a pen to avoid heavy erasing. So I'll use this brush. I'm using this kind of pencil-y brush, but I'm gonna try to avoid doing too much undoing, which is the same thing as erasing. Okay, so there is no pen or pencil in the concept of Photoshop because it's digital. But I'll try to not use undo, and I'm gonna draw them really small, right? And so I'm gonna go up to about 5 right now, and then we'll go into 6, 7, and 8 as we get number 5 done. Okay. All right, so time 6 minutes. Man, time flies when you're doing this thing, huh? Okay, I'm just gonna take this guy and just kind of put it right there. Boom, okay? And I'm just gonna start drawing. Let me see how big my canvas is. So I think I could start somewhere right about here. Let me shrink this references down here because this reference is really high res. Okay, so I'm gonna draw small, okay? Maybe about this big. Notice I have this crappy stuff on here, who cares? Okay, so I'm gonna draw really small and very loose and very light, okay? So unlike last week when I drew the, what was it, the hippo skull, right? I was drawing it at pretty big scale, but this week I'm gonna draw it much, much smaller, okay? Now my proportions might be off here and there, but I'm gonna draw this many times to find the one that I think looks good for my design, because I am going to convert this into a design today. I'm not gonna leave it as a raw drawing. Look at this guy's cool feet. This dude's like moving. It's like doing a nice little walk right here, a little stroll, right? Look at this huge, awesome looking tail. Kind of comes down and just work his way into the back there. This tail is actually hitting the floor. Okay, this guy's front claw kind of working his way towards the front there. So again, it's not exactly the same drawing that I'm doing here, but I'm trying to capture as much as I can because I'm gonna draw more drawings. Now, due to time, I cannot do too many, otherwise we'll be here for too long. But today's episode, I'm guessing will run over an hour because I have to draw these guys out, so it's gonna take a little bit more time. So this shell has 2 layers, two sides. We have an upper crust, and then we have a lower crust. You can notice the yellow colors here. And this shell actually wraps into his flesh somewhere around here, and then we have a bottom plate, and then so it's a little bit different than say some of your tortoises, in which the side shell you have a lot more shell. This guy has got a lot more exposed flesh. I'm guessing that's to do with the way this turtle is in life, right? He's a very aggressive dude, so I think most animals probably leave it alone, so it could have less shell protection as a trait because it's so aggressive. If you talk about a more gentle tortoise, they generally have shells that can hide the whole thing. So, like, you ever seen those lions trying to play around with the tortoise they find? They don't even know how to open it. They kind of play around with it for like 20 minutes and then just throw it away, and the turtle just crawls away. So those turtles have very nice shell protection, right? Like my head doesn't look that good, right? So, I'll try not to erase. Sorry, let me put it back. I said I was gonna do undo, so let me just put it back. Okay, so I put it back. I redid the mistakes because I want to show you guys how to draw a thumbnail. So this guy's good, all right? So I'm just gonna move him over here. Let's just start another one. I'll start a new layer so that I can move things around. I'm just gonna draw another one. Same drawing, okay? This is sort of the point of the thumbnail, is to find the proportion I like. Let me track my time here, 10 minutes in. All right. Sorry about the cars outside, a little messy outside today. Traffic, I have a big road beneath this building, so there's a lot of traffic down there all the time. As you could probably hear, I could hear them right now, the horns. Okay, let's see. Let's draw this head a little bit cooler. His jawline is actually really nice. It's got a huge head. And notice my other little messy lines are all part of this. Who cares? Okay, that's part of the draw a messy thing. Okay, don't treat this so serious. The more you like just chill and just do relaxed drawings, the more fun you're gonna have. And that's how I started learning drawing myself. I did not, I mentioned last week as well, I didn't draw on perfect notebooks and these kind of things. I just found copy paper. And because I knew these papers throwaway, I didn't care about how many drawings I did on the page or how many pages I waste, because it's free. When things are free, it tends to be, you get a lot more liberated using it. Okay, here's the foot stepping. Big old tail kind of in. This leg is, and I'm changing this slightly from from the picture, because I'm going to use this guy as a design. I'm going to turn it into a mount, right? Something I've done before at our school, which is turn these guys into like little dudes that you could ride and maybe carry stuff, right? So maybe since this guy's a snapping turtle, we could turn him into maybe a war kind of thing, or a hunting mount, right? Like a hunter ride him to go hunting with, and then we'll turn the Galapagos one into a maybe like a fishing thing or something. Something a little bit more gentle, because he fits the role of the animal. Okay, all right. So here's my second thumbnail, and this is about it. This is the much time I want to spend on it, because I'm practicing getting the proportions to what I needed to look good. And right now, I can start another one, right? Just put this over here. This thumbnail got a little big, so just put it about the same size. Let's draw one more for the sake of showing you guys what thumbnails are for, okay? The purpose, we're gonna draw maybe a different one. I don't have a full body one. Okay, I have this guy though. This dude's pretty cool, but he's sort of in a funky perspective, like because he's being raised up. Let's use this guy. Because this guy is hard to put on the floor, because he's being raised up by this guy here. Let's put this dude in here. Okay, wow. Copy the wrong one, and we'll just draw this. Let me make this full screen. I gotta keep in mind to keep the drawings on the right side here, because I know there's a little webcam going on. Okay, so let's draw this pretty small as well. This one has some camera perspective on it, so it's gonna be a little trickier, but let's just draw this really small. In fact, I'll make this even smaller. Now I'm purposely not undoing anything. So notice I'm drawing loosely, but in control, but not erasing. It's part of what I mentioned earlier, building confidence. Okay, try not to erase. Because these are little thumbnails. I'll show you how we could clean them up. Look at this dude, it's pretty awesome. These are very powerful animals. If you watch videos of them on YouTube and just see them snap, I mean, they're called snapping turtles. I'm pretty sure if they bite your finger, it just cut me right off, because it's a lot of force per inch kind of thing going on there. All right, he's got a cool hand, really prehistoric going on over here. Huge claws. He's got another claw right here, little claw bend, just like us. Got little hands. Okay, he's got these prehistoric dinosaur forms all over the place going on here. Huge amount of flesh. Okay, and look at these little spikes all over the neck flesh here. Then it's got this beautiful shell that kind of goes down and has a flowy line that goes back up. So I'm gonna draw this by eye. So normally I'll do draw through on these to calculate the perspective, but we are doing the exercise just purely on drawing. So I don't want to get into the hardcore draw through yet. Let's just draw this by eye. Because draw through is one of those things where it's like, okay, now I'm gonna add hardcore math into this thing, and that's gonna slow you guys down. So let's not do that. What the? Someone's hammering the wall. But who cares? Okay. I don't think that's someone knocking my door. No, I don't think so. Okay. That's good. Little feet, right? Look at that line getting in my way. Who cares? Okay, that's sort of the point of this, which is like, don't let this stuff bother you. I could just move it. It's not on that layer. And you might think this drawing is like, how do we make this better? This is pretty crappy. It's like, yes, that's part of the practice. You don't need every drawing to be awesome. You don't need every drawing to be like, this has to be the best drawing to put on Facebook, right? That's not the point. The point is to practice. So learn to sketch. A sketch, the very word is not perfection, right? It's not a perfect drawing. It's called a sketch. You know, like when you do a sketch for a show, you know, it's not meant to be final. It's not meant to be the perfect version. Okay, comedy sketch and these type of things. You know, it's like kind of half improv. Oops, I just erased again. Sorry about that. Let's not erase anything. Okay, I put it back. Okay, so this guy's there. Check my time. All right, we're still good. This will probably run to an hour and a half at this rate because, again, I don't want to draw this so fast that's just horrible. But, you know, I can't draw it too slow either. So let's find a middle ground, which will probably eat up about an hour and a half. Okay, so this is a guy over here. He's got his other arm, but we can't see. But I could try to put in there just for my own because I think it'll look better. But he's cool. All right, throw him over here. Okay, let's draw another one. Okay, all this have usages. Okay, we are not done with the thumbnails. Okay, let's find another snapping turtle. Let's do a head study. Look at this. This is awesome. Actually, which one's more awesome? Let's, wow, man, look at the spikes on this. I don't know if they're hard or soft. I have no idea. They look like it's gotta be soft, right? Because when he's going into his own skin, if that's hard, it's gonna cut himself. Actually, I have no idea. Okay, let's this head is one cool looking head. I'll keep doing that. Okay, doink, put it over here. Okay, just start a new layer. Again, just anywhere. Treat the canvas as a fluid thing. Don't get like, you know, again, I just mentioned that. Well, not that. Okay, we want to be free when drawing this kind of stuff. Okay, and thumbnail, so small. Okay. Wow, big old mouth. Nice curve here, nice S curve going on there. That's nature has all these nice flow lines, and that's why you draw. Okay, to try to learn. Why am I? Oh, it's attached to the other thumbnail. Who cares? I just make this one small. I'm gonna make it small. The point of it is a thumbnail. Okay, but I was saying nature has very nice lines, like you see them in plants, in leaves, in flowers, in pretty much all your animals. It has to do with the way it functions. You know, nature, everything has a reason, pretty much. Not every form, but most of your forms have a reason. For example, like why is a jaguar a certain way, or why is a lion looked a certain way? It generally has a purpose. So as anything that functions well generally has nice flow lines. Like you look at that with military things, like a jet. A jet needs to fly. So as a result, if its function, its form also becomes very nice looking. Like there's a common saying in pilot terms, like if a plane looks like it could fly, it probably flies well. If it looks like it can't fly well, it probably doesn't. So like you look at jets like F-16s and F-15s, they just look like they want to fly. You look at some of the tests that the U.S. Military has done in the past, some just doesn't look like they fly well, and they don't, you know. So nature is very similar, and by practicing this stuff, you just start to learn the flows. Like this turtle, this jawline here, this line that I'm just drawing right now is beautiful. Okay, it's a beautiful line to learn. How does it work? You know, how does that flow work? So it's got this really complex tongue in there, so I'll just kind of leave it. It's got also a nice line right here on the jaw. Okay. Generally, one of the most common used line that is out of nature but used a lot in entertainment, especially on actually on everything almost, is the alien skull head, you know, the xenophobe, this head. This shape is used in so many places in concept design, right? Kind of first made famous by Geiger from Alien, 1979, and then that line, this is used everywhere. Look at the guns from like Mass Effect. Look at a lot of shields from fantasy games, and look at emblems. It's everywhere. Look at spaceships, right? A lot of them have this form, some variation of this form, which is an aggressive front that accelerates towards the back. Okay, just look for this form, and you'll start to see it everywhere. The reason I think is because this line or this shape is very comfortable to the eye. So when you look at it, it just feels nice. Okay, anyways, let's throw this dude over here somewhere. All right, that's part of our little thumbnail. Let's try another one. I want to give the side view side view one more try. Okay, which is this guy right here. Let me hide this. Oops, wrong one. Let's draw here. Okay, time check, 20 minutes. 20, we did half an hour. Okay, let's draw this guy one more time, and then we'll draw the Galapagos version. And then what I'll do is I will take these thumbnails and show the next stage. Okay, so I used to draw this all the time in my little notebook. Okay, and the first few, for example, these thumbnails, they're warm-ups, right? It's like your muscles getting warmed up, like literally they're getting warmed up. So if you're drawing, for example, if I come in, I think I'm repeating myself. I said that all this in my original design cinemas, but anyway, who cares? Maybe we might have not a new audience. But when generally you come in as like 10 in the morning, 9 in the morning, and you're pretty stiff, you know, no matter how much experience you have, you're just physically stiff because you haven't drawn for the, you know, last 8 hours or 10 hours, whatever it is that the last time you drew. So you need to do some warm-ups, and these little thumbnails, sometimes the first ones are not good, and it's okay. Okay, relieve that pressure of like every drawing you do has to be the best and has to be, you know, Facebook level or something. So get rid of that social media desire and just be like, this is my little sketchbook, man. You could draw 20 of these and they suck. You could draw 100 of these and they suck. It's okay. Dude, this claws are freaking amazing. When you start doing this too, you start to realize, man, you don't need to design a single thing, man. That this world is just full of cool things, right? So right now I'm trying not to erase, so I'm drawing directly on top. Actually, this drawing's gotten a little too big. Let's shrink it way down to about here, because it's hard to see the proportions. Right now I'm seeing a proportion issue, so let me see if I can fix that. Okay, this head is actually pretty big, and I think my back area's got a little too small actually. It's got this feet's kind of stepping in. See the bottom of his feet there, taking a step, going over to his pelvis, and the other feet starts. Okay, it's not exactly a side view, but he's close enough to be a side view that I can sort of cheat the perspective on the other legs here, and it's got this big old tail that kind of comes in and ends up on the floor, right about there. Okay, so this leg and the back one needs to be on the same alignment. And it's got, oops, I erased again. Sorry about that. I don't want to erase anything. Let's just keep drawing. All right. Now in the real world, obviously you can erase here and there, but I'm trying to show you guys a little demo of like, you could leave all the crappy lines in there too without erasing it. It'd still be okay. Okay. Later though, we have to erase when we do the final drawing. Okay. But as you're doing a thumbnail, it's fine to leave them all in. So I used to do all my thumbnails in pen. Okay, I'll show you some photos of it. So there's like every line's in there as messy as, you know, really, really messy. No one can understand it. But that's the whole point. I'm doing this for myself. Okay, I never show these to art directors or like that. You don't show them to directors because they're like, what are you doing? You know, these are things you're doing for yourself. And that's, remember the first episode I was mentioning, like, when you see the final result of something like on Facebook or Twitter, you know, some pros posting stuff, you're not seeing any of these steps, you know, and even when they show you some of it is kind of, it's not staged per se, but they're probably not showing you the whole thing, okay? Because I know that's true for, you know, myself as well as my friends. I see the process. Sometimes there's really bad things behind the scenes, you know, some bad drawings and just like horrible experimentations and things. But when we show you the step-by-step, we still kind of show you like, you know, quote unquote, our rough stuff, but it's not really like seriously the first version where it has no mistakes, you know? So young students learning tends to have a little bit skewed perspective of how we make these come to life, you know? All right. All right, so that, guys, all right? So it's like 3 different drawings, kind of the same, but it's fine. You don't need to draw this and draw another one. Everything's perfect. That's what thumbnail's for. So let me throw away this drawing here, this photo here, and let's throw in our Galapagos turtle and draw that. Okay, so let's start with this handsome fella here, or girl, don't know. Okay, shrink that down. Okay, and start another thumbnail. Boink. Okay, how big were I? Sorry, drawing about here. Okay, so almost side view. So I'll start with the top of the head there. This turtle is probably like 100 years old or maybe older. If they're this big, I think they're really ancient in terms of their age. Got a cool neck. Let's shrink this down even further. Again, we want to keep the thumbnail part of it working, which is a thumbnail, not a full illustration, not a full finished drawing, right? So this tortoise has very nice flows on his legs, which we'll get to in a second here. He also has one on the shell there. Got a little hump right here. Got a little hump right here. So this shell is a little bit funky. It's not like a perfect form. It's got a little lip right here with the edge, with the under edge, and that kind of wraps back into its shell. Okay, so I'm not gonna worry about the details of each plates. Kind of roughly put them in position. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 small shells there, and about 3 big shells in the top there, and a little lump. Okay, now here comes nice flow here. Really nice knee flow into, and then back to the floor there. Nice flow. This feet is almost like an elephant kind of look there. So this guy's shell is a lot thicker, or a lot more protected than the snapping turtle. Although I don't think these dudes have enemies in the wild either. Galapagos, I believe there's no predators on there except for maybe like the iguana, but I think those guys eat vegetables. So I don't think there's predators, I mean large predators on Galapagos. I don't think there is, right? There's the biggest ones are probably little lizards that eats bugs and so forth. Okay, there are no like jaguars and those type of cats or any kind of wild dogs. There's nothing like that on the Galapagos. So these tortoises are pretty safe. Once they oh, I just erased, sorry about that, habit. I'm gonna put in another arm here because in this photo we cannot see that arm. It's on the other side, perfectly probably in parallel to the forearm. But I'm gonna put one in just to add a little bit of perspective, and I might even move his back leg a little bit to the out so I can see it. These guys have tails, right? Although I don't think they have long tails. Let me see. Oh, it looks like they have very short tails that doesn't even fall to the floor. Let me see. A tail will be pretty cool, but let's keep it sort of a realistic. Let's not put the tail. I was gonna add like a tail like this, which would look pretty cool, but let's not do that. Okay, so my proportion is a little off. I know that, right? I know the proportion is slightly off. It's okay. We're gonna pretend these are pen drawings. I cannot fix it. The only way to fix this is to draw another drawing. That way I get mileage, and then I get to learn my proportion a little better. Okay, wow, we're half an hour in. I should probably pause this before. But let's draw a few more of these guys, and then we'll pause. Okay, so let's throw this over here. Let's draw another one, same drawing. So let me throw this, just throw this guy over here somewhere so it doesn't get in my way. Look at my crappy canvas with all the lines that we started earlier, right? All part of the process. I'm all trying to make you learn how to relax, how to draw in a sort of a messy environment. It's too perfect. Yeah, you guys could search for it. You could search for like just drawings on the internet not by pros per se, but search for by students, because pros generally have very controlled sketches, loose, fluid, right? Because they're professionals. What you want to see is maybe some students drawing to see what I'm talking about in terms of stiffness of the drawings. Okay, like perfect lines, but the proportions are off. Maybe the design's not so great, but yet the line work is really like too tight. So yeah, there's a sense of like stiffness when they started them. So this method maybe will help you guys see how to draw more fluid. Okay, and I'll cover that when I actually start doing the line work. You'll see. This is still thumbnail. Thumbnail, this is stuff nobody sees, nobody cares. Okay, this is only for you. Okay, it's got the upper shell somewhere here. And this one I'm using almost contour lines to draw, because as you notice, the more I start to draw, the more you warmed up, the more these forms start to flow. It's got these elephant feet on the back there. Beautiful little shell comes around. So just like the other one, they add a leg in the back. I'm trying to draw fast here. I don't want this episode to go super long. Okay. But some of you guys did mention that you don't mind it longer, but we can't go to like 3 hours. I think that'll be ridiculous. Hour and a half maybe. All right. So this shell is not exactly in the right position, so we'll fix that. So without erasing, just gonna fix it directly in the sketch and add early indications of the shell. Blah 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 blah. Okay. because I know I know what I'm gonna do with these. That's why I'm not worrying right now too much about the little details. Which I guess we talked about that earlier. Let's not worry about details. Worry about the overall form. I'm gonna make one of the legs go forward as well. Okay. Can I erase all these lines? Stay. Okay, I sort of want to just do one more. Let me do one that's maybe a different design. Let's draw this one, which is also, I believe, a Galapagos. Slightly different shell though. Okay, let me throw that one away and put this one here. Okay, remind me to save. Okay, just save this image. I'll start with the shell. This guy's shell is pretty round. It's got an angled facing. Also has a nice little lip right here. Kind of comes up and goes back around. Nice shape. Goes around, covers the belly. Something like that. Front shell. Nice little ledge for the head to kind of rest, and it's got this really cool leg with all these little plates on it. Okay, somewhere around here the other leg comes out. Kind of have this pigeon toe thing going. Okay. Oh, I just see right. Put it back. I undid something. Gotta stay true to our pen thing. Cannot undo lines. Okay. Now you don't have to do that. This is just something I'm just showing you that if you could control this stuff. I haven't done a single undo on any of these sketches. Okay, on purpose, but you don't have to be that rigid. It's fine. I'm trying to prove a point that if you can control your lines, you don't need to undo. Okay, especially for a thumbnail. Who cares? This is not for anybody. It's for yourself. Okay. Let's get a little bit of perspective going, like fake perspective. We're not calculating anything. We're doing all this by eye. Time check, 31. Okay, still good. 45 in, 45. Let me do a quick rough estimate of my time. Should be all right. Okay. I'll probably do is I'll get the design kind of roughed out, and then I'll draw it cleanly and come back and show it, because that one's going to take like at least an hour and a half to clean up a drawing. That we don't need to do in this episode. I'll draw that separately and just kind of put it in there, so you guys can see the final result. Okay, but don't worry, I'm not gonna cheat. I'm not gonna start it again. I'm gonna use the same drawing. Okay, I don't have time to like start these from scratch. What I mean by that is I'm gonna use these thumbnails as my final. And I'll show you. I'm not gonna finish it here. I'm gonna put a little bit more work into these, and then just clean it up elsewhere. Okay, this guy looks kind of stiff to me right now. I'm gonna have to draw this again. This part is not right. Okay. So like things like that, if it's not looking right, like right now it looks dumb. It's not right. Okay, let's just throw this down here somewhere. It's like abandon it. It's like, okay, he belongs there. Okay, let's just start another one. Okay, for this one, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. I'm gonna try to capture its form a little bit better here. Okay, bloop. Let's get the neck. Let's get the neck flow here. It's got a little cranium, goes back here, got shell, and then kind of goes into top. I wasn't paying too much attention to the last drawing there. Okay, do something like that. Got the head that goes in there. All the skin, so that little ridge goes here. But this is the whole point. This is what a thumbnail is supposed to do. It's not the first drawing is your final drawing type of thing. And again, look how much time I'm spending. I'm drawing these thumbnails, eating up 33 minutes, right? Half an hour already. So that's why if you give yourself like only 2-3 hours a day, that's like the bare minimum. Because I could barely get like some thumbnails done in like half an hour. Imagine an hour, just barely get these done. So if you're practicing on your own and you're spending only like an hour or two, it's not enough. Because you cannot get the quality to go up in that short amount of time. You're gonna need 8, 12, 16 hours, that type of thing to raise quality. Because it comes with time. There's no other way around it. This business comes from pure skill. Okay, so skill is earned through practice. There's no other way. I wish there was. I really wish there was, because I see how hard our students work in Singapore and so forth, and you know how many out-nighters they're pulling. And unfortunately, there's no way around it. You tell them they don't have to do that, but if they don't, there's always someone who will. You know, this is the world that we live in. It's you know, it comes with, I guess, the price of freedom is competition. Okay, so because you cannot tell someone not to overdo something. So there's always someone who's going to outproduce you, who's going to do better at their skill. They're going to learn 3D software and render better than you and do all sorts of stuff better than you. But you cannot tell them not to do it. So, and they're going to be the ones controlling the industry. They're the one all the clients go to. So the way to catch up is through hard work, right? If you put it in a society in which all of us, we have to stop at a certain level and let somebody else catch up, well, that's going to be a pretty funky industry there, right? And that's not how the industry works in almost any case, in any industry. So unfortunately, this business, we have to get good to compete. There is no other way, right? And while we're doing this, there's some pro out there who's getting better, you know, so it's a constant race. But unfortunately, that's how this business is. Okay. This guy's a little better, still a little off, but I like him better than the first one. I don't like his head, but better. Okay, so here's my wall of thumbnails that we've done in the last half an hour. So let me pause and then come back and show you the next stage. All right, we are back, and notice I have went back to our little list here because it's now time to do stage number 6, okay, which is add detail. We have done thumbnails here for our turtles, so now let's sit back, relax, and now we got to start to design and draw. Okay, and it's getting a little bit harder, but I still want to keep this relatively easy for beginners. Okay, so imagine you've done a bunch of these little thumbnails. Let me change my color back to this deep red. Okay, so now they serve a purpose. The purpose is for us to help pick which design you think looks good. Okay, for example, we have 3 versions of this tortoise and we have 2 of these, right? We have 2 crawling ones, right? So now it's like, okay, let's pick these out. So let me turn off the base layer here. It's got all those little wavy lines. Let's leave it. Okay, so looking at these, if it's a sketchbook full of them, I'll be like, okay, which ones work? And right now, right off the bat, I think I like this guy here. Okay, between the 2 crawling ones, let's see. I think looking at both, I'll just pick this one. Okay, and of these 3 snapping turtles, I think I like the final one that we did. Okay, so these 3 are the ones we're going to start turning into a design. However, we're going to do thumbnail design first before we add detail. Okay, each one maybe take about 8 minutes or something, 5 minutes. Okay, then we're going to blow them up to add the final stage detail. So let's take the ones we want, which is this guy here. Yeah. And let's put these into let's put them in a new canvas just in case. Okay, so I'm gonna throw this guy here. Next one is our snapping turtle, and our final one is our crawling guy. All right, so we could close that one. All right, so for these, let's name them correctly so we could find them. So let's call this number 1 tall. Okay, number 2, he looks kind of slow, so we'll name him slow. And number 3 is called snap, so I just call him snapping turtle, just call it snap. Okay, so we got all 3. All right, so it's our canvas again. And what are we gonna do with them as a design, right? I don't want to just finish as a sketchbook. I want to show you how I actually use thumbnails in the design process. Well, I'm gonna turn them into beasts of burden, which you might have seen me do in the past with a lot of these demos I do for class. So let's continue that. Right, so beasts of burden, pretty straightforward. Animals used to work basically for human beings, right? They either carry stuff or use them for sport, for a variety of usages. So for these, I'll make a simple design. Let's see, let's choose our tall right here, right? Let's make them a little bit bigger, about the same size. So since this guy's pretty slow, I think I'll make him into like a fishing thing. Like you go on this guy, could crawl, could walk into rivers like shadow rivers and help fishermen fish. We'll make the slow guy here carry things like a pack horse or pack mule, kind of like what you see here, right? These poor animals carrying all these things. But we'll make this turtle do it, so it becomes a tortoise FedEx. And then for our snapping turtle, we'll make this into a hunting animal or a hunting beast of burden. So maybe tracking down prey and stuff. So let's start from there. So we're still gonna keep these in thumbnail form. Okay, remember we add details last. We want to be in this free flow form first, even for doing design. Okay, once we have the major stuff down, then we'll add detail. Okay, so let's start with our first dude. Okay, tall guy. All right, so I'm gonna pick I'll just keep the pencil going. Oh, my color got off again. Let's use this. Okay, and I'm gonna start designing. So I'm gonna put my reference pages up. Okay, I'm rushing a little bit here because I want to do this in real time so you can see how I sketch these out. So I gotta also keep mine on the time here. So about 4 minutes in. Okay, 50. Okay, cool. All right, let's start drawing. So first, I'm gonna get a scale in there of a person. Okay, so I probably want a guy to sit over here. I'll use my classic skull man. Skull man helps me get my proportions. So now I could make him sit like a horse like this, right? But you gotta keep in mind, if it's a tortoise, this guy's leg has to be super wide for this to work. So I think we have to sit a little bit different. So I'm gonna make him sit like this. Okay, because turtle shell is very wide. Okay, so this will ensure that he could sit pretty comfortably on here. Now it's a fisherman thing, so I think I'm gonna make a driver and a passenger. So the driver does the walking a turtle guy around. Maybe he's got a stick. And then we'll put a passenger who's actually doing the fishing. Let's add this stuff in. Let's take a look at some references. These guys are kind of cool. Some baggy pants. Right, fisherman guys. Okay, it's got a stirrup. I got a great reference here of this Horse Health USA, but really good for designs of stuff that goes on to these things. So it's got a little bag, little saddle. So all this stuff will come around and kind of strap. Let's give them huge straps. Okay, so now I'm erasing because now I'm designing. So there's no way I cannot erase because I have to figure out the design. So I am erasing some stuff out, but still drawing very rough, kind of a controlled rough way, right? I want the edge of the turtle to show up though. Right, so now I'm gonna put a passenger. So this is where, let's see, he needs to face backwards. I think I could just copy and paste the same dude like this and just use him. But look, if I put it down here, right? So as a design thing, I block this silhouette, this here. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put him up here. Because by doing this, and dangle his feet, kind of like this. Chilling. Change this design a little bit so it doesn't look like the same guy. It's fine, we could change all that later. Okay, and I'm gonna give him a heavy support right here, like a wood beam that goes like that. That's gonna go over his leg. That'll act like a balance. No, let's compress that. I was on a different layer. Okay. So that wooden beam supported on the shell of this turtle. Right. The fine details I'll figure out as I really draw them. For now, I just want the design to work. Okay. We could have a little design here that could hold this up, like a wood thing. But this way I could preserve this little hump. There's a negative spacing here, right here, that could look pretty cool, okay, as a design. So we'll keep that in there. So now I'm gonna be like, okay, this dude's fishing, so he's got a fishing reel. Right now maybe he's not fishing, but we'll just keep the reel out here. Okay. Now how do we show that this is a fishing thing? We gotta tell a story with our design. Let's put some stuff that goes with fishing. So let's put him like, he needs the fish that he caught. Like for example, let's put a like a little basket here. All right, this is very entertainment design type stuff here, but it's fun to practice. These are subject matters that most art directors do not hate. It's like steam trains, probably mechs and stuff. These are things that are very safe for like practicing your own design drawing. It's kind of fun. Nobody hates them. Like beasts of burden are kind of fun. That's why they show up a lot in video games too, right? And films. They're just pretty widely accepted designs. Okay, let's put some fish he caught, maybe the fish in the basket. So these are like baskets. Let's put this at an angle, kind of cool. Now I don't want to lose this little negative shape. I almost put something there. So I'm gonna put this basket maybe right about here. Well, this didn't get saved. Oh yeah, it's a new canvas, forgot. Okay, let's save this as 303. Forgot that we started another one. Okay, so this is a basket that's weaved. So what I'm doing is I'm focusing on big design, big forms, and then we'll do the finer stuff later. got a little soft things back here. All right, so go lean back. This guy's a little stick that has like little dingly bells on it or something to make the turtle walk around. Right. Let's put a few more supplies on here. So this guy's got his, maybe he packed a lunch for the day. You know, they go out and got to spend 8 hours out there fishing. So let's give it a nice pack. And these are all things that look really fun from a design point of view. They're really fun to look at for the viewers. So let's put them all in. Big old thing, more accessories back here. All right. It's a side view drawing, so it's pretty easy to do. Okay, we could look at the stirrups. We could put some stuff on a turtle. You know, like a horse. Although I imagine these kind of things, you don't need a stirrup. You could probably just, because he moves so slow, to change direction, you kind of just use a bell to the left or bell to the right, and it'll probably work. Okay. Probably no need to over design the straps and stuff on the bottom. Let's make this wood come out a little bit. So we have a little bit of perspective going on. Save. Look how time flies, right? Just doing this, right? 10 minutes in. So you gotta slow this stuff down and just design. Okay, but still a thumbnail. So you see, as I zoom out here, it's a pretty rough drawing. Okay, it's not meant to be tight. Okay, but that's fine. But now I'm actually gonna use this to explain some of the later stuff that we talked about in the list. Okay, which is line flow and line weight. Okay, so line weight is something we could practice right now on the thumbnail. Okay, so what we could do is, let's see here. For example, areas that I put line weight is area of focus. Even though we're gonna draw on top of this and makes it a little better, what I do, for example, on the bottom here, okay, I'm gonna start applying some line weight. Okay, just to extract some of these forms out. Okay, and line flow is same thing, like this guy's leg. There's some nice flow here that we could practice this. And my general rule for line weight is area of focus, okay, is 1. So the focus is going to be, generally when you have a head, you're going to have focal point. So for example, this turtle, he's going to have a face. So that's going to come in with a little bit of focal point. So I'm going to put a little bit of line weight on that area there. Okay, that's 1. The other is the underside of things, or shadow areas, will get some line weight as well. For example, the bottom of these wooden sticks will get some line weight. Okay, the bottom of these guys' clothes could get some line weight. But the general rule is I don't do an outline, right? We don't want to do this with line weight. We don't want to do like this. We used to call this iconizing a design. Okay, like you do this, you just do an outline around everything, and you immediately kill your drawing because you have a nice line flow, and then by doing a heavy line weight around everything, you actually make it a 2D sketch. Okay, so right now I'm adding line weight into like heavy shadow areas. For example, the bottom of this shell. Okay, remember there's a little lip right here that goes up. Right, you can even put a little bit of value in there. Right, these are thumbnails, so it's fine. You can do whatever you want to get the design. Even this stuff, we don't show ADs, we don't show this to art directors. Right, this is for yourself to just find the design. And I rarely do side view drawings, but this is done on purpose to show you guys to do something simple. Side view drawings are really easy compared to a perspective drawing, because you don't have to worry about a lot of things. Okay, like all these little details that all could be drawn in side view. As soon as you add perspective in there, we can't do this anymore. Like even like the little jar, we gotta calculate that little guy. So, but that's a great way to learn. Okay. Oh, we should put some fish on here, huh? Like some fish that it's. Now we don't want to lose this silhouette. I'm gonna put a little bit of line weight here to remind me not to lose that silhouette, because I think that's a cool selling point. Now we could put the fish inside this basket, but we could also tie a few here just so we could tell a story. So the thing with the entertainment design is at the same, whoops, why did my line get so thick? Let's hope Photoshop don't crash. Okay, let's see. Sometime when that happens is I get lost focus, the software. Anyways, entertainment design is about kind of making everyone sort of understand what this is. Even when things are like logically might be slightly wrong, entertainment really sometimes we have to bypass that. And these decisions, again, it's not easy to make. It's like, okay, you know, when do we make it kind of like kind of not logical but easy to sell, or when do we make it a selling point? The general rule, at least I found with working with directors, is if this thing doesn't affect the story that much, it's okay to kind of make it very simple. Now, if it's part of the selling point of the story and you have screen time devoted to selling something that the audience don't understand, then you could design it out a little bit more in depth, I guess would be the word, right? This is especially true for science fiction kind of films, in which like you look at a lot of cyberpunk films and games and stuff, they kind of follow the same tropes. It's because a lot of that stuff doesn't affect the world. But if you want to design something very, very specific that is part of the story, like they have a technology that this is selling, then they generally spend more screen time. But you know, like the neon streets, the Blade Runner look, they don't stray too far from it because that's part of what works. So like the fishing thing, like hanging fish here, maybe in the real world, they don't do this. I think a lot of fishermen, they throw them into baskets and stuff. You know, it depends. But if we do that, we hide that design from the viewer. And that might not be the best experience for this design, for example. So these are decisions we make as a designer. And, you know, this episode is not that big of a deal because we're talking about drawing here. Okay, so that's that for that. So that's a little thumbnail. Let's start our second guy, which we called, what do we call it? The slow guy, okay? So slow guy is going to be a FedEx, okay? So why don't I try something? Look at my time here, 15 minutes. Let's save this. I want to be safe. Let me just save it real quick just in case it crashes. Because whenever Photoshop does something weird, like loses focus, you always have to be careful. So let me save and come right back. All right, so let's continue. So we're hitting about an hour here, so I'll try to hurry this up. So let's go back to our reference. So now I'm gonna do a Beast of Burden. Burton, I keep saying Burton. Okay, so we're gonna turn this guy into like a FedEx vehicle, right? So one thing when I was just saving the recording, I was thinking, it'd be kind of cool if we break the kind of traditional way of where the guy sits, right? Because generally we like, they're sitting somewhere in this area, right? Like turtle mounts are not original, right? They exist in a lot of video games. I think like Guild Wars, maybe World of Warcraft, they all have these kind of things. So if we're asked, for example, to do one, we want to see, okay, from a design point of view, can I make it just slightly different but still acceptable by the audience, right? We don't want to make it super weird, like, you know, like the dude's like sitting up here on a chair. It's kind of weird, right? But I was thinking we could put him probably over here somewhere. It's gonna look kind of cool. So I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna steal my sitting dude from over here. Might as well. It doesn't matter because I could change him later. Okay. Let me make sure I copy and paste it versus totally take it. Okay, I'm gonna put him on Mr. Slow Dude here, and I'm gonna put him in the back because we don't see this often. We don't see him sitting over here. I think it'd be kind of cool. Okay, and that gives us a nice balance as well to the weight that he'll be carrying. So I'm gonna use a big old thing here, okay, like a wood beam. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, let me shrink this down to a thumbnail size. And let me collapse that so I can erase. Okay, and then this thing essentially is an external shell that sits on top of the tortoise's shell. And we could wrap all this in cloth, for example, like soft leather, you know, something pretty, so one is soft friction. And two is a little bit more, it could take grinding a little bit more if it's, you know, for example, it's some kind of wooden beam inside, but then we wrap that with cloth or leather, and that will make it more sturdy and less friction, right? All that gets attached like this, big old beam, so it's a heavy thing. And this will basically be the foundation for our packages to sit on. So this guy will be here. He could dangle his leg down, which would be kind of cool, just like the fishing guy. I imagine being back here, he cannot control this tortoise with a stirrup because the tension really wouldn't work. So being so far, so we could control him with like little bells and dingly stuff. Okay, boom, boom, boom. All right, so now let's give him some supplies back here. So this guy is going to be, you know, you rent the space out on the tortoise and he carries things from A to B for you. Let's give it some creature comforts. We could even put like a little cage in here, kind of cool, right? Just a little design just to be fun for the viewer to look at. That's our job now. So now I'm doing the designer's job now. It's like to solve design issues and make it look cool. Okay, I'm drawing small because I think some of you guys might like, why don't I just zoom in like this to draw? Because I don't want to add details at this point, right? I want to add the overall feel before I add details. So zooming out helps me do that. So if I'm drawing this big, it's too big. It's already detail level. So I want to purposely keep this small. Okay, so he's kind of this basket thing back here, a little bit more stable. I imagine when this thing is walking, it's gonna be walking back and forth like this. It'll be kind of cool for the animators to solve it as well. All right, so it's got all these thingies on the bottom. His food supplies and maybe a lantern. Could put a lantern on here. Let's see. I draw these quite a bit. I love these Beast of Burden stuff. They're a really fun challenge for basically it's a soft surface with a hard surface in the same design. So it's good for students to practice with. Okay, so now let's put the FedEx stuff here. So we could take a look at these poor horses and donkeys carrying stuff. They actually put a soft pad here for him. So kind of messy, kind of bound all sorts of ropes, XY crosses to make it more sturdy. These donkeys looks like they're carrying like potatoes or something. So rope seems to be the thing that binds the supplies down. Let's see what else I have here. Here's another Beast of Burden. So lots of thin rope bound into straps like this here on this green box. Okay, that's cool. So let's use that as our base. What's my time? 5 minutes. Okay. So let's add some stuff on here. Now we probably don't want to lose the shell design as well. So we want to make sure that the shell silhouette remains. We don't want to lose too much of it, but at the same time, we need to have enough supplies on here to tell our viewer what exactly this thing does. Okay, but it's all selective. This is entertainment design. This is not real life, right? Like I mentioned earlier with the dangling fish, it's like at the end of the day, we're telling a story with these designs, not like logically this is exactly how it'll work. You know, you apply that to films. Most films or games will just break down because that's not the point. The point is to entertain people. You know, you could try to make it logical as best as you can, but it's not the major point. Okay. So you design to be cool, like every Tomb Raider game that you ever played, and you go into a cave and all the fires are lit and that type of thing. It's like, I thought she just found this after 500 years. Who came here first to lit out the fire? But you know, you don't question these things. They're more for entertainment. So like these things that get strapped in, we strap him in a cool way. Like in a real way, we just pile it on, you know. But then it might not look so good. So, and this is where art directors come in. I know that's my job, is to work with designer to do something that looks kind of believable, but then we don't lose the cool factor. So all these are just supplies. So I'm trying to make it back heavy. And then maybe some stuff here. I'm gonna get some stuff that dangles down. It'll be kind of cool for animation. Keep in mind, our job is for everyone else down the line, right? Like 3D artists will model this stuff, texture artists, right? So the more we could try to help everybody and kind of inspire everybody, the more it is that you're gonna get more of those team members on board on your side. You know, they want to model this or they want to animate this. Even for the sound department, like if you give them some stuff like bells, like we could add a cowbell right here. You know, these are things they could look at and bring fun to their job. They're like, oh, that's cool, right? Be considerate of everyone else that's been spending years and years working on this stuff, right? Our stuff only lasts a few months on a production pipeline, you know, 6 months, a year maybe on a big project. But then you're talking about animators and 3D artists and all these people that are involved in a game or a film that's going to spend the next 2-3 years, sometimes up to 7 years on these things. So, you know, make it fun, make these things last. Okay. And give like everyone in the department something fun to look forward to. Okay. Draw some designs. So right now, still not fully detailed, but enough to start to sell the concept. Okay. What I'll do is I'll clean these up separately. I'll take one and blow it up to show you how we actually do this, but then I don't have time to clean it. That'll take another hour, 2 hours. I'll clean on my own, and then we'll come back and I'll show you guys what the clean versions look like. Okay. So this one's kind of in a pretty good state for now. This thing is going to be pretty heavy to hold, huh? So what we could do is we could put a little stick right here. So when he's not, let's not make it that 90 degrees. Our little stick holder. Doink. So when it's not directing toward the where to go, you could kind of rest a stick on the little stick rester. Okay. So that's cool, right? Okay, so then we have design number 2 for Slow Dude, and we have Snap coming up. So Snap is our little hunting guy. So for that, I'm gonna be looking at this reference here. I kind of like this. Looks like some kind of race hunting thing. He's got some greyhounds. Oh, adding dogs would be really cool. I want to add some dogs to this guy. For now, I just have some placeholder for dog. You know, get some references for what type of dog. Probably gonna be some kind of maybe beagle or something that hunts. But for now, I just manually drawing some to remind myself to put dogs. My proportions are kind of off. It's okay. Right, rough. Don't stress. It's about just getting my nose is way too long. Okay. Maybe what do you call it? Dingoes or some, those kind of things? Okay, that's good. Okay, let's go back to our snap. Okay, so for snap, I'm gonna make it kind of fun, a hunting thing. So like all these guys are pretty cool, like nicely decorated guy. Where do we sit our rider for snap? Let's see, I'm gonna make him slightly bigger. So about the same size. I think I'm gonna make him, I can also make it sit in the back, I think. Okay, let's save this. I'm gonna save each one just in case. I'm always paranoid about crashing while recording, so I'll come right back. Already our last one, Mr. Snap. So we'll make this guy like a racing one, like really fast and aggressive. So I'm gonna add all sorts of decorations on him as well. So let's jump start into this. Where should we put the rider? Let's see. I think we could try putting the rider on the back of this one as well. So from a silhouette point of view, let me see how much time we got to figure this out. I think we're like an hour and 16 minutes in. So all right. Let's put it right here. Will that look good? See, will it look good here? Looking over here will slow this thing down, right? So it's a sports car. It's got this very nice flowy momentum lines going on here. So I don't want to lose that. I'm trying to figure out where would be a good position for a rider. Would it be ridiculous to put him way back here? Let's see. We could try to put them somewhere in this zone. Could look alright, like kind of like our FedEx one over there. But let's give it a try. We could again hijack our dude from here. It's fine because it's just a proportion. I don't need all this stuff here, right? We could use this to kind of just test it out. Okay, let's put him on snap. Well, let's see. Or maybe he writes it like a Harley Davidson. Like a chopper. Like somewhere right about here. So we could use this line of the turtle. Alright. So let's chopper this dude. Wow. Kind of like this. Freaking riding this turtle like a Harley Davidson. Blah. And these are pop culture references that we could do. It's fun. Yeah, we're here to entertain. So it's like Gladiator, you know, entertaining people. I hope that's not an obscure reference. Remember when he threw the sword to the king and say, "Are you entertained?" That's what I'm trying to do here. Okay, let's see. How does a chopper work? Like they have a handle like this, right? Because I'm trying to get a sense of speed, and choppers are powerful and they're fast. So kind of like what I'm trying to do with this turtle. Oh, that's a good position. That's a good position. Then we could use the shell as an extension line, right? So this line goes in here. That gives us a nice form like this, right? And this is the flowy line that I was talking about earlier. This could almost act like the windpipes of a Harley. I mean the exhaust pipe, not windpipe, exhaust pipe. Except here's their wood. Okay, we'll give them a nice chair to sit into. We're gonna make an argument for like why does he have a handlebar, but it's okay. We'll design this in. All side views, so pretty easy to solve things right now. We don't have to solve this in 3D. We'll deal with the 3D. We'll have to deal with it, right? Get the design approved, and then we have to figure out, okay, how does this work in 3D? So here's our hunter. So I'm gonna give him like a give him a weapon. We have to always tell story, so we have to make sure that we give this guy like he's holding kind of like this over his shoulder, a spear or something. So we tell he's a hunter. Give him some supplies as well. Doing this is kind of fun. It's kind of almost like we should do like a live stream thing or something, which I thought about before, you know, doing all these live, and then that way they could run, you know, like these games they do these days, they stream them for like so long. If I find a time I could do, I just don't know what platform to use, because then you could record it as well. It seems like it's a win-win. You know, I could sketch some stuff, you guys can see it done in real time. At the same time, it's all recorded as well, so we don't have to like do it twice. Why is it not erasing? Oh, I see. We'll see. I'm welcome to some ideas. If you guys have some ideas of, I don't know if there's concept designers already doing it. I'm not too sure. I haven't been involved in researching that part of it. But if there are platforms that allows streaming, because I know things like what is that service? The Amazon Twitch, right? That's for video game, isn't it? So like you can't use that to do other things. I don't think you can. I'm not too familiar with that, but I think there are software that allows you to do that kind of stuff. But again, we have to look into it to see what the how that actually works, because streaming also involves the time zone, right? I'm in the Asian time zone right now, so if I'm streaming this right now, this could be like the wrong time for a lot of you, for our viewers. I don't know where most of our viewers are, so there's a lot of little things that shows up, but something I could look into, because it is kind of fun, especially if I'm not super busy on a project. I could definitely find like a few hours in a day, maybe on a Friday afternoon or something. We just do like a nice stream session where we just draw with you guys, where everyone comes in and we all just use the next 3 hours to draw things. I don't know, just talking out loud here, but sounds kind of fun to me. All right, so this guy, boom, 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 our Harley dude. So let's give him, what's he doing? He's hunting, so let's put hunting supplies all over this guy. So it's going to be carrying some stuff as well, but definitely not as much as the other two, because he needs to streamline. He needs to be fast. So we don't want to burden him down with too many things. But I'm going to put some blankets on him. Like these camels got some nice stuff on them. Well, that line doesn't look good. I don't like that line. Undo. Now, how do I know that, right? How do I feel? Like this comes from experience. Like you just draw enough, you sort of know when certain things don't flow. These are things that you just cannot force into your work. You just have to do a lot of it. So in drawing a lot helps you build that experience. There's no other way around it. It has to do with your eye, okay? I guess another way to do it is taste, okay? Generally, a designer with a lot of experience have very good taste as well. They start to feel what shapes work, what color combinations work. So you're looking at, for example, very good game studios have very good taste. Like everything they produce feels good, you know, from the UI to the design of it, because somebody is making those decisions, right? Because design could take so many different forms. So who makes those major decisions? Well, some art director and some AD, some creative director, they're making those choices. So if you have someone with a good vision and a good taste, the product that come out are very, very nice. That's why you don't see art directors that are super, super young generally art directing things, especially projects that involved a lot of people, right? If you have like one designer or, you know, one 3D artist, like an indie game, it's a little bit easier to control. But if you're talking about like a big AAA that has 500 people or sometimes up to 1,000, then you need really good art directors who could have their vision go across the entire board. Okay, time 7 minutes. All right, I'm very conscious of time here because I do want to show you guys some photographs of the things I talked about earlier, so you can see how I apply them, right? So now I'm adding that line back in, but much thinner. I still don't like this Harley thing. I think it's a little it's pushing it. Let's see. But I do like it. Maybe I'll put it like this, because I don't want to make it like too like for the purpose of making a Harley. I have a design that's so like that, but trying to make it so it makes more sense. Maybe it's how did they steer a horse on a carriage? It's still with ropes, huh? Maybe I can make it so it's like it sort of is attached to a rope. Let's see what this look like. His little spear is a little long. Let's put it over here. All right, this guy's okay for now. He feels streamlined, he feels fast. Like this guy's like, whoa, you know, like the Harley, like the motorcycle is like going faster than the rider kind of thing, you know, like the rider just hanging on for life. While the motorcycle is totally going forward on its own. So that's sort of the feeling I want for this this tortoise as well. Anything we could add? Look for some reference that's kind of fun. Let's see. Oh man, too bad turtle doesn't have hair. Otherwise we could add a mane, which would look really cool. But we could add like a little tuft of this, you know, like these kind of things they used to put on giant horses. Oh, that's kind of dumb. Let's not do that. Okay. Let's see. Dogs, little balls of things. Let's see. Let's add some little little dangly things like this. Do. I got people knocking on my door, but I'm recording. They're probably like, "Why is Feng in there for so long?" Okay, let's see. Do. Add some dangly things. Right, so things I could kind of animate, bounce around, kind of fun. Okay, so these designs kind of there. So these three are in a pretty good state, and these are thumbnails. So I'll show you what happens next. Okay, but I'm not gonna finish the process. What happens next is we take these, the one that you like. For example, we take our first one. Let's take I like this guy a lot. Okay, let me save original version. Okay, now we blow this up. Okay, let's just say it this big. Okay, now we add details. I can switch to a brush, and now you go in. Two ways to do it. Either you make it really thin like this, or you could just draw that directly on top. It's up to you. I use both methods. For example, I just do a quick demonstration here. If I want to clean up this turtle, I probably want to go back to my original reference, which I think, who was that? This guy here, right? Use this little bit as a reference to clean. Okay, and this process takes a long time. That's why I want to do this offline and come back and show you the results later, because this will take a good hour, 2 hours per drawing, I think, maybe. So maybe a little faster, I don't know. All right, so that's one way to do it. So I generally like to keep my original around. But I've done plenty of videos now that shows me doing this with line drawing, so you could find the other previous ones. But all this was done to show you kind of a nice way to get into sketching. Okay, so again, thumbnail. Oh, where's my first one? Let's open that up again so we can see. I think that's this one. Okay, so start with small thumbnails, loose drawings. Don't be too nervous doing these kind of things, right? Let's put this back so you can see what they were, right? Cheap paper, messy paper, easy stuff. So we did all side views. We used loose drawings. I didn't undo too many things. So again, to release the stress, use thumbnails, and then we add details later. So line flow and line weight, I also apply a little bit to these as well. Oops, put this over here. Okay. So what I'll do is go offline for a little bit. I'll probably come back tomorrow to do this. So I'll try to clean this up sometime tonight or tomorrow, and then show you what these could look like when they're done. Okay, so let me stop this real quick, and I'll show you some photos of behind the scenes stuff. All right, so for the last bit, I want to show you guys some photographs of my own studios that I worked at, and to show you that I've actually done all the stuff that I've shown you here, which is to draw loose, use thumbnails, put stuff on the walls and so forth. So let's open some of these up. We'll do this really quick since we don't have that much time. All right, so here is the supplies I used to use. Some of you guys might have seen this before. I've given this talk a long time ago, you know. So this is all mostly pens, non-erasable stuff. So I do have a non-photo blue right here, this blue pen here, and I have a white pencil for highlights, but generally permanent stuff. So I still use these supplies today, these high-tech Cs, right? This one is a photo that's circa 1999, so it's about 19 years ago. This is at Blur Studio. So some of you guys, if you play video games, you've seen the work Blur does. They do a lot of the cinematics for video games, the 3D openings for a lot of games. And also Tim Miller, who was my boss, is also now a director. He did Deadpool 1 last year or 2 years ago. So, but this is Blur 1999, which is only about 23 people, you know, before they blew up huge of today. But it's a lot of fun. But the point of this is to show you guys all the photographs not photographs, when I'm talking about drawings that are on the walls here, right? So I mentioned that before. When you've done something, put on the wall, boost morale. Also good, make the art department looks pretty cool. And if you're learning on your own, makes your room looks pretty cool, right? Just have your own stuff up. So this is Chuck over here, which I worked alongside with. Here's my stuff on this side. So it's kind of something right here, division line. Okay, and notice back in the days, we didn't even have a Wacom tablet. It was just straight up drawn on paper. because Wacom hasn't really matured enough at that point to be able to use to draw inside the computer. I think that was around maybe 2002, 2003. It got a lot more mainstream. So people are definitely using it. Like Craig Mullins and a few guys are definitely using it. But I didn't get into Wacom until I think 2003, 2004. So I was still drawing traditionally. I'll show you guys some of these Star Wars images as well. All right. So putting stuff on the wall, not only me, but all of us do it, right? There's Ryan Church, also Art Center, right? So you can see all his paintings. This is also quite old, 2002, 2003, somewhere around there. So all the stuff goes on the walls because this is what we do. This is our life. This is our career. So putting stuff on the wall is not an egotistic thing. It's a thing for you to kind of catch mistakes, see what you worked on, right? Here's my little corner over at Skywalker. So this Skywalker Ranch, which I do not believe they do Star Wars here now. They do it over at IOM, or maybe do it at Big Rock. I'm not too familiar, but this is the old Skywalker Ranch where Indiana Jones and Star Wars was done. The famous third floor was up here, so we're on the third floor. So this is my little corner. So I like to sit in corners, so you can see. I haven't seen these photos in a long time. All the designs on the walls. My little table here. Oh look, here's a little printout. It says Bounty Hunters. Kind of cool. My little R2D2 printout for scale, right? And my table, which is all traditional. So I did not draw on the computer. There's no computer at all, in fact. So everything was done on paper. Here's a close-up of my table here with the first generation iPod. Some of you guys might be familiar with that. Some gag gift, a gag Christmas gift. So I got a Britney Spears. And here's the thing I want to show you, which is my little sketchbook. So here's how small my thumbnails were for a lot of the environments I was doing that you saw in the previous image on the walls, okay? But they start this small, so I can use this to find the composition and find the perspective. Because it's so tiny, it's easy to control everything, right? Once that's done, then I'll go to my big table here and draw it out. So you can see here's some of my little compositions I was using to draw them out, and then I'll photocopy and make it about 11 by 17 to do the final. So you can see all the markers everywhere and so forth. So yeah, I came from a very traditional background of just drawing for years, and then you get digital stuff much later. So you can see all the markers I have back here. I burned through probably 3 markers per drawing. So these are boxes of Prismo markers. Each one is like 30%, 50%, and then this box will get used up less than a week, right? Good thing Lucasfilm was paying for it because these things are expensive, like $3 each. So imagine you burn out about 5 of these per drawing, and you do tons of drawings a week. So you're burning a few $100 worth of markers per week. So much cheaper now doing stuff in digital. Yeah. So this is so we already showed you the Ryan Church one, right? Yeah, so the art department. No different today. You go to IOM today and look at their walls for their, Ready Player One and all these films. Same thing. Everything's on the walls. So get used to working this way. Just put your stuff up. Don't worry if it's bad or good. Doesn't matter. This is to start to build a belief in yourself of being a concept designer. It's on the road to that destination, right? This is us storyboarding. You can see it. Everyone just draws together. And as soon as we're done with the board, just stick it on the wall right here, right? So this is how everybody worked, right? I took the photos. So unfortunately, I'm not here, but I was just right here storyboarding with everybody else. That's my little R2 toy here. That's Ian McKegg. Some of you guys might know him. Very famous concept designer, illustrator, who I believe is working on the new Star Wars as well. Ryan, of course. Sang-Joon Lee's over at Blue Sky. Derek, I think he's over at Pixar last time I heard. So, but we used to draw together all the time. So we boarded, a lot of sequences together and kind of just cut them out and move them around, trying to find the right sequence. But it's about drawing. See, look how loose some of these are. Look at this. You can still zoom in and see. It's like little stick figures. Okay, so this stuff is really simple stuff. Start small. These are some of the best concept designers on the planet here, right? These people are capable of drawing beautiful pieces of work, the best over here. But we still draw like little kids, okay? Because this is how we figure out simple things like the shot design, storytelling. You don't need an elaborate drawing. So when you're learning, don't try to go for some Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci style stuff as your first try. That's years down the road. Start with simple. Just get your penmanship going, get your hands going, okay? So that's that. And the last 2 photos before we wrap all this up. For example, here's my little studio in Los Angeles. Some of you guys might have seen this as well. So put yourself in a creative environment. We don't put the stuff up on the walls here. The only reason for that, unlike Skywalker, which right here, for example, if you use this one, right? We could put stuff up here because the only client is the director. So all this stuff is secret stuff. So here, unfortunately, we couldn't put it up. This is due to legal reasons because we're right in the middle of Hollywood and directors would come up and they're different directors. So obviously we cannot leak projects to other people, right? So everything has to be off the walls. So if we had a bigger space, we could possibly put them up in different rooms, but we only had this one little space, so we couldn't put the stuff on the walls. But I just want to show you the photo of when we're working. Things are still pretty fluid. So here's a bunch of stuff on the table. These are our concept designs for a game that you guys probably don't know. It's called Lost Odyssey. It's an Xbox game, one of the first launching titles for the Xbox that helped launch the Xbox for I think for Japan. This was a title they want to get Xbox into Japan. So Lost Odyssey is made by the Final Fantasy people. So anyway, so it's very organic, just to show us like don't get yourself so stiffened up when working. Get used to working organically and relaxed way. Okay. So next week, what I want to do is first I'll come back and show you the finished versions of these guys. I might attach the end of this video and talk a little bit more about on the next episode due to time. But we'll see how this goes. I think I might stop this and just finish these drawings and attach to the end of this video. And then next week, or the next episode, 91, we'll go back and drawing some of those trees and maybe some of those homes and tell you and show how you can combine that by using the thumbnail process that we used today, and then maybe develop that into a design as well. So let's do 2 more weeks, maybe 3 more weeks of these kind of things, and then we'll move on to a different subject matter. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in episode 91. But this is not over yet. I'm gonna come back and show you guys the finished version of these, but that'll be tomorrow, but I'll put it into episode 90. Okay, so I'll be back to show the finished versions. Hey everybody, as you can tell by a change of clothing, another day has passed. So yesterday I went back and finished 2 of the drawings. I couldn't get all 3 of them done, but I thought two should be enough to showcase this process. So I'll go ahead and show it to you guys now. So this is the first one, the Mr. Tall guy that we started. Let me make it a little bigger. So I just went back, cleaned up the line work a little bit, and added some value. Still a pretty rough sketch. Let's just go through this real fast. Here's the original that you guys saw us draw live, basically. And here is the thumbnail of the design, in which you guys saw as well. And what I did is I just blew it all up and drew right on top of the thumbnail. So I did not do an overlay in which we make the opacity of this very low and then kind of trace over your own rough. These days, I prefer to just draw right on top of the rough. So you retain a lot of the first generation line work, which has a lot of life to it. Sometimes I find that if you overlay a drawing, you tend to lose a lot of life, but it all depends on what your final goal is. My goal here is a sketch, so it's okay to be a little rough. But if you're doing a super tight illustration, then sometimes you want to do an overlay. So so I'll put these on Facebook, so you guys could go ahead and download it. Let me show you the other one. So yeah, this one is a fishing one. You can see add a little cat kind of playing with the fish. Change the pose a little bit so it's not a copy and paste, because remember this one we copy and pasted the driver as well as the passenger, so they look exactly the same. So I just changed this guy to looks like he's directing the turtle, because we got these references from Camel Riders. Let's look at the other one. Okay, so here's the Mr. Medium size turtle. So here's the Galapagos in its rough form. You can see what a dramatic difference it makes once you start cleaning it up, but the proportions and the designs is pretty much the same. I did not overlay this. I just cleaned up directly on this rough. And when you start this, don't give up. It looks really like impossible. Like you blow it up, you're like, oh man, this is a really crappy sketch, but it takes time. You got to be patient. Each one took about 1.5 hours to clean. So I spent about a total of 3 hours cleaning both of these together. So if you haven't drew a lot before, this might take you longer, but just have to go at it, and just do it. There's no way to save time. When you're doing a line drawing that has detail, even a rough one, it's going to take time to put it together. So for me, I just put on some good music and just give myself 3 hours or 4 hours, however you need, and just get it done. Don't give up, okay? Because if you make a nice drawing out of it, you build up a lot of confidence. And I kept these pretty loose. If you zoom in, you can see it's a pretty rough drawing. It's not like every line is connected, and I didn't design the jewelry here to be perfect, but it gets the initial design across, which is a side view drawing of a turtle mount. This one's kind of just carrying turtle FedEx, right? So added the dog and the little cat, some birds on there. So just kind of give it a little bit of life, get a little bit more playfulness than a very stiff drawing. So, but again, the silhouette hasn't changed at all. The design hasn't changed at all. So drawing small is very beneficial for designing. So, so yeah, next episode 90. What episode are we on? This is 90. Okay, so in 91, I'll try to skip a step in which we already have these sketches, and maybe I'll show you guys how we could clean it up a little bit. I'll do a real-time one and see where it goes. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I certainly liked doing it because I haven't drawn a sketch in quite a while, actually, because nowadays it's all like digital painting and everything. But yeah, going back to the basics, man, just draw. So let's keep that hashtag going on Twitter. I'll go ahead and post these on whatever social media that it's available. And I'll see you guys in episode 91. This is Feng Zhu, and thank you for watching. Have a good week ahead. Bye-bye.